our quest to live a happy, healthy, adventurous, active 100 years. Not just get to 100. A lot of people just want to get to 100. I don't want to just get to 100. I want to thrive to 100. I want to be at the top of a mountain at 100 and go, look at me at 100. And look at all my friends. So let's do it. All right, so today, this month, is the month of endurance training talks. And in this particular month, we talked about mindset a little bit in endurance training and what that means. We talked about endurance nutrition last week, so you can go back and take a look at any of those clips. The month before was all about mindset and motivation. Next month, which will be September, is all going to be about nutrition. Touched on it a little bit last week, but there's a lot to discuss with nutrition and how to optimize your life in that way. But today, our final discussion in endurance training, and obviously these are just quick 20, 25-minute little tidbits for you to get an overview, and we'll go deeper as people need or want to go deeper. But the concept today is called periodization. So that is a concept that if you've ever decided that you wanted to do any kind of big, long endurance event, then you understand the idea of periodization. So let's say you were going to choose a half Ironman or a full Ironman or the Leadville 100. These are all things that I've done. Climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or even just go locally here in Los Angeles to go to Mount Baldy, which is not very far, about an hour from here. But it's a big climb. It's from, you can start at 4,500 feet elevation and go all the way up to 10,000 feet elevation and then back down. And that takes conservatively somewhere between 8 and 10 hours, 7 to 10 hours. I mean, you could run it up and down and maybe get it in 5, but the idea is to understand what it takes to actually do that, because ultimately you don't want to be just getting off the couch and go, I'm going to go climb a mountain today. It's probably not the best thing. You probably won't feel so great after that. So the idea of periodization for your next goal is, in my opinion, of utmost importance. Not only your next goal, but every year. This is what I do as we start to come into the fall. Usually training and race season is kind of summerish, sometimes into fall. Cool thing is in Southern California, we can train all year round, so it's great. But a lot of the races sort of die out in August, September. Like there's not as many races in October, November. And then there's December and holidays and January, winters. You gotta kind of find these things. But I start to look at the next year of my training, and I try to pick one big event. And again, 2018 was the Ironman, and Kilimanjaro. 2014-15 was the Leadville 100. I've picked ultra marathons and different things and different races or events, and that's how I like. Then I go backwards, reverse engineer your year, and start with the event. Buy your ticket, sign up. Yes. Now I know right now a lot of things are not happening, so we'll get back to this sooner than later. However, then you start to think, okay, let's just assume in our little hypothetical, let's say, Ironman race, that would be in August. We're currently in August, so let's say next August you wanted to do an Ironman. You have a year to train for it. You've never done anything more than a, half marathon. I mean, even 10K, it doesn't matter. And then you've never ridden your bike for more than 20 miles, and swimming is not your thing. So you're a beginner and you're trying to figure it out, but you got this great big goal. So what I would recommend, so the periodization is you train a little, you recover. You train a little more, you recover. You train a little more, you recover. You train a little more. And there are, depending on the coach that you work with, there's 2-week cycles and then a recovery week, or 3-week cycles and then a recovery week. And each of those can be broken down. There's macro and meso and micro. So macro, the whole entire year, or your 16-week or 20 or 24-week training period leading up to the event. But then there's a foundation, a base that would happen prior to that event. And then there's events in the middle of that. And essentially, when you look at the whole entire year, and as a triathlon coach, that's what we do. You look at with your clients, you sit with your clients, you go, okay, what is your year? What do you want your year to look like? What are the A races? What are the B races? And what are the C races? A races are stuff that you're going to train really hard for and taper 2 to 3 weeks for, which we'll get into in a moment. The B races, they're in the process of your training for your A races. So for instance, a half Ironman is a perfect example of a B race for your A race Ironman. C races, you don't even taper. You just do them as a workout. So there's that. So like an Olympic distance, if you were going to do a full Ironman, maybe halfway, midway, I say, okay, let's go do this sprint distance. So again, this is endurance. So if you're not at this level, it doesn't matter, but the idea and the principles will work regardless of what you're doing. So if your A race is, let's say this year, for instance, the Malibu Half Marathon, which is now virtual, they're doing a 5K, half marathon, and a 50-mile November, which is super cool. So you have now only 2 months. You got basically September, October to work your way up. So you go hard a little bit, easy, hard a little bit, easy, hard a little bit, and then you want to recover and then peak for that event. But again, it doesn't matter what the event is. I'm just using the Ironman as an example because it's definitely an endurance race. But so is a half marathon for people who don't run. Anything that's way outside your comfort zone, in my opinion, is an endurance race. There are some people who might not agree with that, but that's okay. So periodization is the thing, regardless of what you're doing, training for a big hike or doing some kind of race, okay? So what you want to do is once you decide what that is, you got to set that goal and then you got to start to train for it. Whether you're looking at just the goal or you're looking at your entire year. I like to look at the year and work backwards, like I say. And that is, let's say for next year, if I was going to do an Ironman in August, then I would go back. Okay, well, I need a couple weeks to recover. And then maybe sometime in early June, I could search for maybe a half Ironman to do. That might be a great exercise for me to push myself a little bit in a race setting. There's wisdom and experience, and there's experience and wisdom in racing. And it's one of the reasons why I love racing so much, because it's totally different than training. You can follow someone's training plan and you can follow your coach's advice, but if you don't hit that start line and you don't have those butterflies and you don't see those competitors on either side of you, you're not getting nearly as much out of your training as you will from the races. So definitely, once we can all start racing again, sign up for some races and participate and push yourself outside your comfort zone. That's the bottom line, right? But what I want you to also do is once you decide to do that, you trust the training process. Hopefully, most of the programs that are online, free programs online, are all done by coaches who also have a paid program, and they'll take you through. I mean, it's one of the things I do, kind of handheld the athlete through as they continue to grow, and then you have to work around injuries and all that sort of stuff. But essentially, you want to trust the fact that your coach can help you get to where you need to be. And I have a guy right now who's having a little bit of trouble believing that he can make it. But I know, because I've done it before, I've seen multiple people do it before, that even though his swimming is not where he wants it to be, that it will be, at least not where it is now, somewhere along that trajectory of where he wants it to be. and he'll do fine and be safe. And again, my goal as a coach is to get my people, crossing that finish line with a smile and without injuries. That's the main thing. As far as the time goes and all that sort of stuff, that's that's icing on the cake. You make it to the finish line, you're smiling, and you're injury free. We did a good thing. So trust the process. Next thing is recover. So if you look at this sawtooth, right? Train for 2 weeks, recover for a week. Or train for 3 days, recover for a day. Or train for 2 days, recover for a day. So whatever it is, the recovery is key. How do you recover? Less output, first of all. Proper food, your nutrition, your sleep, right? Your shakes, whatever it is that you're doing to keep yourself recovering. We all know that we can recover best during sleep, but there's also a lot more that you can do during that time. And this is kind of, I would say, a life plan too. If you find yourself with high anxiety, a lot of people right now have a lot of stress, take some time. Give yourself that time to recover. If you've been following me these last few months, I've been streaming classes 6 days a week, and I just needed a break. So my family and I went up to a local Lake Arrowhead here, and it was amazing just to get out and just to have a little time to just chill out and relax. And I highly recommend that. And that was probably way overdue for me, but for you, build in some of those easier days. And I am turning 50 this year. Yes, I'm so excited. Finally, a nice round number that I can be at. I don't have to be 48 or 49. I can just be 50 for 365 days. Or yes. So the cool thing is for me now, I gotta pay a little bit closer attention maybe than I used to in the past. And what does that mean? Well, for me, it means recovery. It means paying more attention to recovery, because when I was 25 and 30, I wasn't worried about that because my body just bounced back so quickly. But recovery and the recovery stage is a huge, even though you're training more than you recover, that recovery is more important, in my opinion, because if you don't recover properly, you're not going to be able to train. I'm dealing with a little knee issue right now, and I don't like it. I do not like it. I do not like the knee issue. Please go away, knee issue. Let's see, can I crack it for you? No, it's not going to crack. But so I need to recover. I ran once this week, I ran once last week, and each time after my run, I still felt it. It was still, it felt good going in, but it was a little bit not so great during. So I'm now gonna just stop running for a little bit. I'll get on my bike, get in the ocean, do some swimming, continue my yoga and do that stuff, because that stuff is kind of helping to work it out a little bit. But I just got to give it up. So I don't want you to have to get to a place like that. Excuse me. So the recovery is most important. One great thing that you can do if you're my age or approaching my age, or maybe a little bit older, you can just add in an extra day. So this was a great technique for recovery that I learned from Joel Friel, who is a very famous triathlon coach. So he in his book Fast After 50 talks about how we shouldn't slow down necessarily. Oftentimes people think, oh, I'm getting older, so instead of doing a really hard workout or intense workout, I'm just going to do a long, slow, easy workout. Not really beneficial, because you're sort of buying into the fact that the body is slowing down. And the body doesn't necessarily need to slow down, it just needs more recovery, which I like. I like that idea. Because the truth is, if I look at all of my times and all of my races, there's been times where a decade later, I would be faster in the exact same race. And that's pretty cool. I mean, that's great to have that much data to be able to look back a decade prior and say, yeah, absolutely, that's good. Stayed in shape, did really well, and then actually beat my time from 10 years ago. I have a couple little goals of my own, as long as this knee gets better, that I want to do that are faster than my previous times. And now that I'm approaching this beautiful age, I plan on having to pay attention to the recovery more. So that is the recovery piece. Also, just with the foam rolling, I don't know why I'm thinking about foam rolling, so I have to mention it. For your quads, like for me, my knee, but basically get massages, do yoga, do whatever it is that you feel like is going to help your body become better. And I have this great, I might have mentioned this before, but I have this great foam roller. It's called the Hyper Ice Viper. And you know, it's just an amazing foam roller. It has 3 speeds. You just hit a button. It's kind of like the Theragun, but Theragun is very specific. This is just a foam roller that just is kind of a general thing, and I use it on a regular basis, and I love it. It's totally helpful. So trust the process, right? Pick your goal, create your plan with your coach, trust the process, recover. I can't express it more. You know, main things with recovery: sleep, number 1. Good sleep. So if you track your sleep, I track my sleep with an Oura Ring. If you track your sleep with a Whoop or some other device, make sure you're looking at those numbers. Make sure you're looking at them, and how are you sleeping, and are you getting enough deep sleep? Are you getting enough REM and REM? And REM is really important for restoration. So really look at that stuff and then play with. There's 10 things you can do to help your sleep. 1 is get rid of these big lights. 2 is no screen time. 3 is no eating within an hour or 2 before bed. 4, no exercise an hour or 2 before bed, probably more like 2. You're going to sleep at the same time, waking up at the same time, and obviously your levels of stress are going to affect your sleep, but there's a ton of different things that you can do to enhance your recovery. And the nutrition, there's a whole entire world of nutrition stuff that will help you recover. And if you're having a lot of sugar, that's not a good thing, because your body needs to process that sugar, and it's going to take away from the ability to recover faster. So you got to limit your sugar intake. And then my final thing is race, like I said earlier, but it's, you know, train, recover, race. Train, recover, race. Train, recover, race. It's how I've built my whole kind of active lifestyle, whether those are triathlons or mountain bike races or trail runs or marathons or climbs, you know, hikes, or, you know, whatever it is. It's basically pick the goal, train for that thing, recover along the way, do the race or the event, and then recover, take some time to enjoy the fact that you actually did it, right? And then go out and pick something else, something new, something different. Because the thing is, ultimately, this is a, you know, huge point, is when you look back at your year or at your life, you know, it's these highlights that are going to happen. And this is what this is all about. If we all really want to be committed to living a happy, healthy, adventurous, active 100+ years, well, we got to do that now. You got to do it now. You can't just go, oh, okay, in 50 years from now, I'll get active again. Yeah, that's not going to work that way. So that's my challenge to you, essentially, right? It's your call to action is to start getting engaged in your life, in the active, adventurous piece of your life. That's what I want to see. Conscious endurance, right? So thank you much for watching and tuning in. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can put them in the comments below. You can send me a message in all the social media things. And of course, go to teddymcdonald.com, sign up for the newsletter, and get into that community link. And also youtube.com/Teddy McDonald 1 is my YouTube channel, and we're building that, and there's plenty of yoga on there, and all these talks are on there. So there's lots of great content on there. And that's it, you guys. I hope that you have an amazing day, and we'll see you right back here next week, and we'll start our nutrition. Oh, one final thing is I want to know from you what kind of nutrition advice, information that you want, because I'm going to break down the month of September and talk about nutrition, but I want to answer your questions along the way. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. I'll see you next time.